Welcome back. This is Msunduzi News Podcast. Igama lami uSduduziwe wakamatondo, but you can call me Stu, and I'm your host today. Today we're delving into an award ceremony called The Book Behind. This ceremony seeks to acknowledge and also celebrate authors along with their journeys with writing and the intricacies within their craft. Sitting with me today is the pioneer and the founder of the awards, Mrs. Nelly Shozana. Welcome, Saboka, for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
Please just briefly tell us about yourself, and then we can just go straight into this beauty of an award ceremony.
Okay, Nelly Shozana, but you can also call me Nelly Shozana. I was born and bred like Pietermaritzburg, but Ehewood. And then we relocated to Willowfontein. The founder of the Book Behind Awards. This is our 4th annual awards, and I'm also an author and a publisher.
Oh, great stuff. Ooh, we're always encouraging having Black women as pioneers of most of izinto that initially and intrinsically have been dominated by men. So just to kick off, tell us what motivated you to establish this awards ceremony, and what do you seek to establish with it?
So as I've mentioned, Uguti, I'm an author and a publisher. I saw a huge gap in the industry. Uguti, we are always encouraged to write, tell our stories, speak out, but we are not really celebrated. There are awards, book awards, but people don't really know about them. So I thought, why not celebrate authors and the book behind awards? We celebrate the book behind, the inspiration behind the actual journey. You know, like those sleepless nights. I always laugh whenever I'm writing a book. Sometimes I would write 10 pages and then I would start all over because I feel like it's not perfect enough. You know, the journey, people don't know what we go through behind the scenes. So we are actually celebrating the inspiration. And what I want to achieve is I want more authors to celebrate themselves. This is a celebration, and I want people to write more and read more.
You're right. A lot of the time we celebrate their pieces.
Yes.
And we forget about the actual craftsman instead of the craftsmanship in itself.
You've said it better. Why don't you just write a book?
Please do not tempt me. Do not tempt me. So then, but how do you believe that these awards impact the authors that participate in them?
It's not even a matter of believing, because I'm actually seeing people traveling from all over. There are people who are coming from Joburg, Limpopo, Eastern Cape, Western Cape. People are coming from all over the provinces, and we even have a member from Botswana who's coming from outside South Africa. And I'm not sure if the member from Nigeria, because we also have a nominee from Nigeria this year and Botswana. So you can actually see that, people are actually seeing this. And especially authors, they love this for themselves because it promotes them. It promotes their work, whether they win or not. But people know about them because they were 2024 nominee.
Okay. You touched on nominees. Tell us about the nominees and categories within the awards.
It depends, like per year, because what we are still doing right now, we want to see what works, which nominees, because most people, they write motivational books or inspirational books. That's nonfiction. And then there are people who are writing fiction, and then there are people who are writing about relationships, others about finances, but that's all nonfiction. So we check. Like last year we had all 9 indigenous languages, and then the other categories. So this year, because we want them to want it, because last year we were introducing the indigenous languages, and then this year we didn't go behind anyone. We just allowed people to nominate themselves or get nominated. So we see what nominees works and don't work. Like the beginning of the awards in 2021, we had 35 categories. But in 2022, we had to cut some of those categories because some you'd have one nominee from that category. And sometimes when we, the book behind awards, nominate someone, they don't push as much as someone who nominated themselves or who've been nominated. So what we are aiming to do this year and the years to come is for others to actually want this. We want them to want it. That's why we don't push other nominees or categories.
Okay. So basically, at this point as well, it's more of a give and take where you play it by ear. And you want to understand where the authors are also coming from. So it's not from a top to bottom type of scenario with award ceremony. Because in a lot of award ceremony, you do find that it's a matter of what the institution wants to award. Okay.
Yeah.
We hear you.
No, we are all about others. Like, it's more about them than us. So we want to see, like, what works for them.
Okay.
Yes.
So within the awards, how do you ensure that there is transparency and fairness?
In terms of nominating or in terms of winning?
The
adjudication, yes.
Yes.
So what happens is, like the nomination process. We open the nominations, they go to the website, they nominate themselves or they get nominated. We close the nomination period, like in terms of them nominating themselves. And then we have a nomination announcement. And then we announce who are the nominees for that year. We create social cards for them for voting and everything. So before, we used to have only the SMS line. But now people also requested that we group like the votes. So they vote, they can choose whether they vote via the bank, like because they are grouped, or they use an SMS line. And then afterwards, like we close the voting periods after they've finished, and then there are people who are allocated to count. That's the adjudication process. They count, like we print the SMS line votes, and then we also print the statements, and then we allocate people who are calculating the votes, and then we also allocate people who are going to check if the votes have been calculated correctly. And then on the day, that's the only time they can know that they've won. We don't even alert them to say, are you coming to the awards? Please do come, you've won. No. They know on the day. Nobody knows.
Okay. It sounds quite fair. Just to trade back a little, you touched on the indigenous languages. So within that, I wanna touch on diversity. How do the awards ceremony cater for the diversity with genres and the different voices? Because I can imagine when you're celebrating all authors and not particularly a certain section or or a certain genre, it's multifaceted. So how do the awards cater for such diversity?
Okay, so what we do is, so this year because this year we introduced last year the indigenous languages. Then this year we allowed them to nominate themselves, and then only isiZulu, isiXhosa, Sipedi and Chivenda. They nominated themselves there. They were like very keen on the idea. The other languages, they didn't come through, but we didn't want to convince anyone. And then with the diversity, there are different genres. What we do is, because we check the inspiration, we say best awareness book. Awareness, you can talk about gender-based violence, you can talk about homosexuality, you can talk about there's this lady who wrote about like a book about men and stuff. You can talk about that. There are also Indo Damast or whatever, others. There's this lady who spoke about she got raped at work. It's an awareness. How do you survive after that? It's something like you make people aware of such. And then there's also inspirational and motivational because there were a lot. There are a lot of people who can write a novel, but it's very inspirational because we've checked that we can say best novel book, but they are writing like a other one are writing about maybe robbery or whatever the case may be. But there are also best children's book. We've also and then there's last year there was best child author, but this year they didn't nominate themselves because there are adults who are writing children's book, but they are adults now. Sometimes they compete with kids, so now we say there must be a best child author or best teenage author, best female author, best male author. That's what we try, because it's like a trial and test or trial and fail error method. So it's something like that. We see what works for them more, but there are genres, especially the African, like we are big motivational speakers. Like we write about motivation and the African content,
our very lives,
exactly,
books waiting to be paid.
Mostly like the nominees for inspirational, I think there are 9, imagine, on that category. Yes, there are quite a lot. So we try to balance, but everyone is welcome to nominate themselves, no matter what language, but we cater for all languages. They must just come through.
Okay. So what are the challenges that you faced with organizing?
Oh my goodness. Don't even start with me. I think I must say that the day before the awards, I'll be launching a book. 2 books, actually. The first one is Living Through and Beyond Depression. Because of these awards.
Oh, sure. Sure.
It can be very depressing or very frustrating when the sponsors pull out or when things don't go as you have planned. Or, it's either this or that, because there are always challenges. But more than anything, challenges are faced were financial challenges, because this is quite big. And sometimes you find out that the budget, sometimes it's too small. One of the reasons why I relocated to Pietermaritzburg, so they always say sometimes the grass is not always greener on the other side. This time around, it was greener. So this time around, that had been my biggest frustration. But in the midst of all that, in the midst of depression, I decided to deal with that by traveling. I call myself Nelly the Nomad. So I travel. So this year I turned 40. And the aim is 40 years, 40 countries. I've traveled to 13 countries so far. So the second book is about that. So
nice. Author.
You write about anything.
But I'm also intrigued about the very journey you take when you're trying to achieve that very literature piece that will explain in detail to the reader and make them fully understand the emotions and the ups and the downs that you go through.
Exactly. And I always tell people that events are very frustrating. It's part of the package. You can't have, even when you do have money, sometimes it would be the service providers. They won't, like in 2022, the sound.
Okay.
We only had the sound 30 minutes before the awards ended. The whole time, the MCs. We are about 2022 was, I don't even know how to talk about it. Like I was so numb in such a way, I couldn't even talk about it. That's how frustrated I was. So events are very frustrating, especially even when you have a dream or a big vision. It will be challenged. It's part of the journey. It's just that we've never been taught about that, how to handle stress. Yes. I learned very late. And I thought I was never a person who gets depressed or gets frustrated or because I was always a happy child.
Definitely.
Now I had these huge problems. Like this thing is not, I believe in it, but nobody else believes in it. It's not coming through, So it's part of the journey.
Okay, so let's talk about the community. How can the community help both as participants and also as people who can rally around the awards and the authors that you aim to celebrate.
Abathenga amathikithi abantu ba-attend ama-awards.
Okay.
That's number one, because the best thing I always, I'm grateful for my family and friends. Do you know ukuthi my family and friends buy tickets?
Oh, okay.
Because vele, it's either they give me money or they buy tickets. Yes, there are friends and family, they can get complimentary tickets. But at the end of the day, this is not a charity case. A charity case, yes. Oh, this is not a charity. Anyways, yeah, but what they can do is they can either support by being there and purchasing, even if it's one ticket. Or I remember in 2019 when I launched my third book, I've written 7 books so far, but the ones I'm going to launch are going to be number 9 and number 10.
Okay.
Or it's going to be number 8 and number 9, I mean. Yeah, so this lady, she said, Nelly, what can I do for you? I'm like, you decide. And then she branded water for me. You know, she was a friend. She knows when you are planning an event, you can either be there present because I want you to be there, but you can also do something nice for me, or buy me flowers or something. But with exactly, yes. But for the community, they can support these authors, vote for them when it's time for voting. Post them. You know, posting, I've always posted izinto zabantu. And you'd see someone, Ivo, this lady is baking. Oh, okay, I'm going to contact her. Just by a simple post.
Okay.
I didn't say anything. I didn't write a very complicated caption. I just posted on my status. It's the least I could do, you know. And I feel even if you have a nominee, support them, vote for them. Post isn't ozabo, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now you're going to tell us, where do we buy the tickets and how do we vote?
Okay, now, unfortunately for voting, the voting process has been closed, yes, since the awards are next week.
Okay.
Yes, but the tickets are available at Quicket. You can just go to Quicket and type the book behind awards ceremony, or you go to our pages, because we do have posters. You can buy the ticket directly, and then you can just send us the proof of payment. You can collect your tickets on the day, or we can meet in town.
And where do we send the proof of payment?
Immediately after you've paid.
To where?
To the number. There is a number on the post. Yes.
Okay. And where are your social media pages? Where can we find them?
Instagram and Facebook, the book behind awards.
Okay. Same handle?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Your future plans?
I want to travel more. I'm left with 27 countries. That's Nelly the Nomad. I'm also Nelly the Nomad SA on both Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Oh, not both, and TikTok. Okay. Yes. So I'm Nelly the Nomad SA, because I use traveling as my tool to, you know, to relax, or to, you know, and to heal further. Okay. I've healed already. But my future plans, next year, it's our 5th annual awards. So we want to go big, very big. And we want to create as much noise. And we want the awards to grow even further.
Okay. So in closing, what is your advice to future authors, especially those who also want to be recognized within these awards?
First of all, what I've realized, especially because I'm talking as an author, because I'm an author, I've realized that you have your own voice. Be true to yourself, because a lot of people, I remember when I wrote my first book, they said my book is too casual. I write comedy. My books have humor. And they are me. Like, if you know me, if you pick up my book, you'll know who's Nelly who wrote this book. So I advise my authors to be true to yourself, because sometimes people tell you, why ungenzanga kanje, why, you know, and ungazobabuza ukuthi why ungavela ubhale yakho wenze yonke lento. But what I want to tell my authors, be true to yourself. Zifunde as an author ukuthi what kind of an author engiyona am I, because there are comedy authors, they are motivational, there are people who write fiction. I don't write fiction, but I can write fiction. I write about my life experiences, everything I've gone through. Now one day you'll find yourself in my book. That's how I am. Like I write about, find out who you are, what you enjoy ugienza as an author, what makes you alive. But the only thing you can do is to be yourself, even encwadini zakho.
So basically leave your DNA.
Exactly. Yes.
Consider, because even with acting and in music, khona isound oyizwayo ukuthi no usibani bani ungakaqali
Exactly.
nokuqala.
Yes.
The same goes for movies. Uthi uyibuka ukuthi, oh, this is a Scorsese film,
Yes.
or this is a Banbani film. Yabo. Uqinisile, I'd like to respect nalokho as well with authors as well. That
Yes.
just keep intact ubuwena, so that when we touch your material sales with no ududo obhalele leli bhuku
Exactly.
leli.
And also know ukuthi incwadi yakho will be read by generations to come. And you want your children or your great children, grandchildren to know ukuthi ugogo ubenjani, and they get to know you through your book. I mean, I always say they are very fortunate abantu abaza behind me, because they'll know, like, my voice is very plain. I don't even compromise. Like, they know ukuthi this is Unel. I say it unapologetically, and ama authors, the best thing you can do for yourself is to be unapologetic as an author.
Okay, so tell us one more time, when are the award ceremony? Are you going to be hosting them live so that people who are at home can see them? Is there an opportunity for that?
Okay, so this year they are not going to be live because they are going to be aired on Soweto TV.
Okay.
I think 2 weeks after the award ceremony. So we just don't want a spoiler alert. Yeah, we don't want that. Last year they were live on Facebook, but this year they won't. But they're on the 9th of November at Shugu's White House.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yeah, we are there. As from 1700s, it's a red carpet. Then quarter to, we're done with the red carpet. We go inside from 6 to 9 o'clock. They are also, to a meeting without food is an email. So they are also...
You could have sent it by email. Yes.
There are also refreshments, you know, there's entertainment. It's going to be, because who said books are boring and who said authors are boring? So it's going to be very fun.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
Glad. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for letting us in. And also thank you for being the pioneer of something so profound for a lot of authors.
Ngiyabonga.
Well, that brings us to the end of our podcast today. Please join us again next time. But until next time, unga sugi, unga shiyi. This is Msunduzi News Podcast, and I'm your host, Msunduzi.